Good evening and welcome. This is the November 27, 2023 legislative session of the Salisbury City Council. In the event of an emergency, we ask that everyone remain calm and exit through the double doors to the parking lot located in the front corner of this building. If the doors are blocked, please exit through the door to my right and let us know if you need any assistance. At this time, we ask everyone, please silence your cell phones. If you plan to speak during the public comments period at the end of this meeting, please fill out a form on the table near the door you came in and give it to the city clerk. You will be allowed 4 minutes when you come forward. Please state your name and address. Immediately upon adjournment of this meeting, council will convene in a special work session. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And at this time, please join us in a moment of silent meditation. And also, I'd like us to also remember in silence one of our municipal colleagues of Greenbelt, President Rick Gordon, who passed away this weekend. Thank you. At this time, we'll have a proclamation by our Mayor, Randolph J. Taylor, to discuss Municipal Government Works Month.
All right, this is my first my proclamation, so bear with me. Municipal Government Works Month. Whereas Maryland is home to 156 municipalities in addition to the city of Salisbury, which was incorporated in 1854, and whereas municipal government represents the most responsive level of government, allowing citizens to have direct access to elected officials, and whereas Maryland's cities and towns have celebrated Municipal Government Works Month each November since 1993 in an effort to promote citizens' awareness of and interest in the government in their communities, and whereas those same cities and towns have educated over 27,000 students and their teachers about how municipal government works through school visits in their respective communities, and whereas municipalities have enhanced the quality of life for their respective residents by maintaining natural and historic sites and structures local to their cities and towns, making Maryland a great place to live, work, play, and explore, and whereas in an effort to educate citizens about municipal government and the importance of their participation, the City of Salisbury is proud to promote municipal government awareness. Now, therefore, I, Randolph J. Taylor, Mayor of City of Salisbury, do hereby proclaim November 2023 as Municipal Government Works Month.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. All right, could I have a motion to adopt the legislative agenda?
So moved. Second.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Could I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Not yet. Not
Oh,
yet.
I'm sorry.
Good evening. We have on the consent agenda tonight the October 9th, 2023 council meeting minutes and closed session minutes, October 16th, 2023 work session minutes, resolution number 3306 approving the reappointment of Charles Chip DeShield as a member and chairman to the Salisbury-Wacomico Planning and Zoning Commission for term ending December 2028. The words "and chairman" were inserted today after the word member, as required by the Planning Commission per Keith Hall of the Planning and Zoning Commission. And this amendment will require an approval when I'm done. So resolution number 3307 is the next one. This is approving the appointment of Daniel Marino Holt to the Salisbury-Wacomico Planning and Zoning Commission for term ending March 2027. And finally, resolution number 3308, approving the appointment of Kenesha LaCole to the Truth Committee for a term ending November 2026.
We could have a motion to amend resolution number 3306 as read.
So moved. Second.
I move to amend the resolution number 3306 as read. Second.
Thank you. All those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you. And then
And then,
vote on the amended consent agenda. So call for the vote on the amended consent.
and then all those in favor of the amended consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. All right, now we'll have our ordinances presented by City Attorney Ashley Boucher.
Good afternoon, or good evening.
Thank you, Ashley.
I'm going to call for the motion to
Yes.
approve.
Can I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 2838 for second reading?
So moved. Second.
Ordinance number 2838, an ordinance of the City of Salisbury approving a budget amendment to appropriate funds for the Maryland Folk Festival. This is before you for second reading. There have been no changes or amendments since first reading.
All those in favor of ordinance number 2838 for second reading, please say aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Can I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 2839 for second reading?
So moved.
Second.
Ordinance number 2839, this is an ordinance of the City of Salisbury to accept grant funds from the Maryland Department of General Services in the amount of $4 million for infrastructure improvements. This is also before you for second reading. There have been no changes or amendments since first reading.
I have some concerns with this. We have $4 million, and this is the money that is going towards the event center? Huh? Well, I have some concerns about this money. We are already having some issues with some field ops. Our sanitation division is having issues. We have streets that need to be paved. We have a lot of issues here, a lot of issues that are going on here in our city that need to be addressed. And we're taking this $4 million and building an event center when our city is right now at wit's end. So why would we be spending money to build an event center when we should be taking care of the infrastructure that is already here? That's my friend. I'm being honest.
So Andy, before you,
It's, if you'd like to, I can.
so Andy, I have a question before you, I know you're gonna address some things. So I actually have a question as well, kind of going off of Ms. Jackson's comments. Have we, done any sort of market study or to, any potentiality for, I know that there are some room for commercial space and office spaces. Have we done any research to see if Salisbury has the capacity to take on building more office spaces and seeing if there is a need for that?
Sure. So there's a few items right there that we need to digest. Number one, This is free money from the state, $4 million with an additional $2 million this year for the sole purpose of redevelopment, including infrastructure for Lot 10 that is completely independent from what we would spend money on from sanitation or our public works infrastructure for ongoing operations, so two different pots of money. But I do agree with Councilwoman Jackson that that is a high priority as well. In terms of a market study, that is a decision from the developer. In phase one, which they've done, the market study, a hotel and conference center is needed and is planning for construction. Phase two would include apartments and or commercial building based off of need in the feasibility study that would come later.
Yeah, and I would just add that, Mike, can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Okay.
can.
My research tells me that the $4 million was originally earmarked to go to Frederick, which that project didn't happen, and so they've transferred that money to the project here. So it's specific to a conference center in Salisbury and specific to the infrastructure. If that didn't exist, they wouldn't otherwise get the money. So it's an independent group of money that wouldn't go to general funds for streets, curb, and gutter, which I agree with you. We need to do some work in that territory. Second is, I've spoken to the developer, and it appears that he's done a feasibility study, and it looks fairly promising. So I think that if that all comes together, that could possibly be a reasonable and a good addition to the downtown.
So I know that, and that was one of my questions. Were it is if we didn't accept these grant monies, would that hinder us from accepting? Like kind of when you say no,
Yeah.
Would that deter the state or other agencies from giving us money? But secondly, I know none of us want blighted properties in the future. So having space that will be unused would be the something that we wouldn't want. So thank you for answering those questions, Ms. Jackson.
So you're saying to me this money was given to us for this conference center?
It's being,
Just for this conference center?
what I'm saying is it's being allocated to this project specifically. If the project doesn't occur, the money goes back. So we couldn't use it for what you're talking about.
And that's just what I'm saying. That's the question I just asked you.
Okay.
Is it being allocated just for this
Yes.
specific
Correct.
center?
Yes.
Event center. So therefore, we cannot use this money for anything else.
No.
Yeah, just to clarify, when you say event center, it is for the redevelopment of Lot 10, primarily on the infrastructure. So that has to deal with, when you say event center, that is the pipes, that's the sidewalk, that's parking improvements, that's design plans. So everything that's associated with that project, yes. The hotel and conference center, so correct. But we could not repurpose that funding to repave a different street, build a park, buy trash trucks, et cetera. None of that could happen.
Well, this is the second reading. So we've had this discussion in work sessions. We've been presented with several information about this, and it was moved forward. Correct. Okay, just clarifying.
Yeah, and just,
But you still have the right to ask questions, and I'm
Oh,
asking
sure.
questions.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to ask questions.
Just clarifying.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask questions about this amount of money. Now, I'm definitely going to ask questions about this amount of money being allocated to one project. Even if it's been passed and motioned and second, I don't care. I'm going to ask questions. I have that right to ask questions, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I
Because
think,
this is about people and the constituents and the residents that have put us back in office, and I want to make sure that everything that we're doing from this day forward is politically correct. Because I am not going to come in here every Monday and hear somebody gouging my eyes out. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it, and I'm going to stand for what's right, whether anybody likes it or not. I'm standing firm on what I believe. So if you think that I don't have a right to ask questions about something that already has been passed and it's in its second reading, then there's something wrong here. Because I have that right. And I'm
It
done.
was just about a point of
And I'm done.
clarification.
Yeah.
It was a
And I'm
point
done.
about clarification.
I'm done.
I think it's good for us to reiterate what the reason as to why this money is going to this particular project. Just to continue to educate the public as
Yeah.
to what is actually on the agenda and what exactly we're voting on, because when the general public hears $4 million,
That's right.
there might be a misinterpretation there as
Yeah.
to what it's for, and I think that constantly having these discussions is important, because somebody who wasn't paying attention last week or the week before when it was read in the first session, for the first reading, then, it's good to repeat it. So,
Yeah, I think it'd be a far different conversation if the state was giving us $4 million and then we as an entity decided to divert it to this project, but we are being given this money specifically
For
to this
and
project.
that's what I asked.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And I think, yeah, so that was a good dialogue, and I think when we first heard it, I don't think it was quite clear that it was specifically for, it was sort of, this is money from the state, so thank you, Ms. Jackson, or
Thank
Councilwoman
you.
Jackson for asking the question. Thank you,
Thank you.
Mayor Taylor and Andy for reiterating. Any other discussion, any other comments?
No,
No.
just excited to see the project happen.
So all those in favor of ordinance number 2839 for, I'm sorry.
Wait a minute,
Whoa.
hold on.
No, I'm
You
sorry,
can't
no.
speak. You can't, it's a public comments.
So ca- Could I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 2839 for second reading?
So moved.
Second?
And all those in, I'm sorry,
All
all those in favor of ordinance number 2839 for first reading, please.
For second.
Second reading. Yeah, we've already done that, so yes,
So just, I think we need to ask, are all those in favor of ordinance number 2839 for second reading? I think there's a typo in what you're reading.
Yes.
Yeah, and then call for that vote.
yes, sorry. All those in favor of ordinance number 2839
For second reading.
for second reading, say aye.
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 And the chair votes aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're at the point of the agenda for public comments now, and I will call them in order that I've received them. If you'd like to make public comment, please fill out the form at the front, and then hand it to our city clerk. As a reminder, you have 4 minutes to speak, and I do ask that you state your full name and your address at the beginning of your comment. This time, I would like to call up Tim Mayer to the podium.
Hello.
And if you can make sure you speak into the mic as well,
Am I
please.
there?
Pull it up some.
Yeah, you can. Thank you.
Ta-da.
Thank you.
Okay, now my 4 minutes can start. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Timothy Mayer, Middle Boulevard in Salisbury. Congratulations, and congratulations. So, ta-da, here you all are. It's a wonderful thing. And I'd just like to start with Mr. Taylor, Mayor Taylor. Thank you for your comments at your swearing in, most specifically about citizen participation. And I appreciate that very much because some commentary was made prior to you about 25 people coming to speak at public comments. I'm not sure what the intention was of that commentary. I don't know if that means because I didn't bring 30,000 people with me tonight that you don't listen to me, but I appreciated you saying and talking about citizen participation, because this is it. Voting was one thing, but coming here, taking the time, and sharing thoughts with all of you, this is citizen participation in a democracy. So I greatly appreciate that. The other thing, your promise about transparency, I appreciate that very much as well. I hope that that message from you gets to your department heads, gets to everybody running the city, and I hope they hear that clearly and directly. And if not, then there you go. There you go. I'd like to remind all of you, be humble.
Dance.
Be kind. Be considerate. keep perspective. I'd like to remind you, you don't work for the Salisbury Area Chamber of Commerce or its director. I'd like to remind you, you don't work for the Greater Salisbury Committee. I'd like to remind you, you don't work for the Salisbury Area Property Owners Association, if that still exists. You work for the people that actually come in here and speak. And so take that to heart and keep perspective. There's always going to be that kind of pressure on you. Balance it. Ask the questions. Ask the questions of the people that you represent. It's a great, new, clean slate. I hope you use it wisely. I hope you do reach out. My representative is not here tonight, but congratulations to her, and we welcome her to come to Middle Boulevard to see what's going on and to understand our issues. And certainly, Mayor Taylor, we welcome you to do that as well and meet with us directly to talk about our concerns. And you know, you all show up all the time when a new business comes to town for the ribbon cutting ceremony. You might want to think about, in this day and age, think about somebody making the investment to buy a house in the city. That almost kind of deserves the same kind of ribbon cutting ceremony, because they're making the same investment to be here and to say that they want to be here and they're going to spend their money to buy property in the city. So just a little offering for you. In terms of my neighborhood issues, I want to reintroduce the whole thing about dogs, dogs, and dogs. I talked about it before. Now it's a new group of people. Take a look at the county ordinances for dogs, and please give that serious consideration for updating your ordinances about noise and barking dogs. We all love dogs, but not at 2 o'clock in the morning when they're unattended and left outside. So I would encourage you to take a look at that ordinance. It's a strong one. It also gives animal control the tools that they're going to need to actually enforce something, because what you have now is pretty weak, and that's why it continues to be an issue. I wish you all well. Have a great holiday. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff Dean, to the podium.
Thank you. Thank you. Jeff Dean, Middle Boulevard, Salisbury resident. I am coming to ask this new iteration of mayor and council to continue to prioritize the ongoing discussion about recovery house regulation in the city of Salisbury. I have not had any word from anyone at the city in quite some time about any developments in the recovery house situation. I asked several months ago specifically that Mr. Kitzrow recuse himself from the conversation, given his close personal and previously undisclosed relationship with the proprietors of Homes for Hope. At that time, Mr. Stevenson was presented to me as the person I would be talking to. I did not receive an official recusal from Mr. Kitzrow. I received some word that Tom Stevenson would be talking to me, and progress ensued. So that was nice. We have a new director of HCDD who has also not been talking to me about any updates regarding recovery house regulations. So what I wanted to do is say that the issue is still in my frontal lobe, that I will be paying attention to it from here forward. I once again ask that someone other than Mr. Kitzrow head this conversation from the city. Mr. Kitzrow is certainly allowed to support whoever he supports, but I believe that support does, in this case, preclude him from being a neutral party in the progression of any kind of regulations about recovery housing. To that end, we very much need to continue developing meaningful, humane, predictable, enforceable regulations for the operators specifically of recovery and group homes in Salisbury, if there's any plan to take anything to another board, whether that be a zoning board or any kind of occupancy board or something like that. I think the public should know about it before it goes there. And I call on you, Mayor, to uphold the transparency promises that you made in your campaign in that regard. I do not believe it is an efficient way to proceed as we have been, where there is no official mechanism for updating the public on conversations of this type. It just ends up being a bunch of 4-minute statements every other week, and then a desperate attempt to get some kind of update from the city. That is not democracy. So, yeah, so I'm asking for continued attention and increased transparency in that regard to developing regulations for recovery homes and group homes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carolyn Woolgamuth? Carolyn Woolgamuth?
My name is Carolyn Woolgamuth. I'm a city resident and city taxpayer. I'm going to read to you tonight an email that I sent to all the members of the City Council and the Mayor this morning regarding ordinance number 2839. The city should definitely accept the $4 million grant, but not as currently written. I spoke about this during public comments after the first reading of the ordinance, noting that these funds are a, quote, grant to the mayor and the city council of the city of Salisbury for infrastructure improvements in the city of Salisbury, unquote, and therefore should be used to improve city streets, city traffic lights, city trash equipment, etc., not used as a $4 million giveaway to a developer. The following language in the ordinance should be deleted, and this is important. Whereas no expenditures of the aforementioned grant funding will be permitted until all conditions of the pre-award process are met, such as a fully executed subrecipient agreement with Mentis Lot 10 LLC, who is the subrecipient of the funding and the owner of Lot 10. What subrecipient agreement does the city have with Mentis Lot 10 LLC? The city sold parking lot 10 for a mere $75,000. I've read Resolution 3212 regarding the contract for sale of Lot 10. I've also read the deed. Nowhere in either document is there any mention of an agreement between the city and Mentis Lot 10 LLC of a future grant funding. Why then should $4 million in infrastructure grant funds to the city be used to benefit a private developer over a multitude of city infrastructure needs? This ordinance needs verbiage that contains verbiage that does not benefit the city citizens or the city taxpayers. Either strike the language noted above or table this ordinance until you can properly research it and produce to the public the subrecipient agreement. Anything less will be construed as a secret agreement and called out as further evidence of complicity with developers over citizens. Be transparent. So I understand now that this is something different. However, in the letter that was sent by DGS to Mr. Kitzrow in October, there were two links. One for a $3 million grant and one for $1 million. The $1 million grant, you click on the link and you get nothing. For the $3 million grant, it says nothing about a subrecipient agreement. It merely states that it is a grant to the mayor and the city council of the city of Salisbury for infrastructure improvements in the city of Salisbury. So if you have some sort of agreement, then we, all of us, need to see this before you accept this money. Because quite frankly, I don't see the point in giving a developer $4 million. I don't care if it goes back to the state. You can then apply for another grant. Thank you.
Thank you. Sophia Overton.
Sophia Overton, Roger Street. I too second what the young lady said that stood here before me, because as I work in infrastructure, and $4 million going towards infrastructure, I need to hear something being said about the lead and copper rule revision and what you guys are going to do about that infrastructure, how that is affecting the health of our citizens that live in the city. Are we making changes to the infrastructure to meet the EPA's expectation of October 2024? Has the planning started? Has it changes being done? Because what I know from the part that I do on the side where I work, you have to have the plan and you have to show what the resident has on their side of their infrastructure as far as the piping is concerned, and you have to be able to show what the piping is on the city side. Then you have to show a plan that says when it's going to start to be replaced. I don't want to see a new building for people to hotel and motel when we have infrastructure that I know needs to be replaced. Lead and copper rule revision says that the city and any municipality must know what is on both sides of their infrastructure. That means water and wastewater. That means you need to be pouring that $4 million into that lead and copper rule, because what is happening, if you're getting free money to help with infrastructure, if you don't use that for that infrastructure, you're going to come after the citizens that pay taxes to increase their taxes to replace those infrastructure pipes, because that must be done through the EPA. And you must have a plan by October 16th of 2024. How do I know this? I am a water superintendent for the town of Del Mar. I am putting a plan together for the town of Del Mar to make this happen. So I need to see that it is happening in the city that I live in, and I live in the city. And if you're going to spend it otherwise for something that needs in the community, how about you put something in the community for the children to be able to play, go, have activities that don't cost the parent $60, $70, $80, $100 a month to be able to participate at a nonprofit organization? How about you put it into a community center that the children can go to like we used to be able to go to when we were kids, okay? That is not going to turn the kids away and be open all day. How about we do some stuff like that? And this is my take on what that $4 million needs to be spent on versus a hotel piping system and infrastructure for that. I think that is absolutely ridiculous. I pay taxes in this city, and I do not want to see my water bill increase because that money was not spent properly for what it needs to be spent for. I know what infrastructure was. I went to the U.S. Senate and spoke for small towns and utilities for the infrastructure and cybersecurity. And that is my take.
Thank you. Robert Taylor.
Good evening, Robert Taylor, Salisbury resident. I didn't come to speak on the $4 million giveaway, but just a couple comments about the market study. It's the same development group that did the Ross, more or less. Not exactly the same, but the leadership's the same. The market study on the Ross doesn't seem to have turned out too well. That was going to be swell, rented up. How much is it rented up now? Last I heard, something less than 30%. Now, Mr. Taylor knows he's been a commercial loan officer. I've been a commercial loan settlement attorney. Many of these market studies are done by people who get paid to put good numbers up for a developer. And that's the way it is. And as I said, look at the Ross. What have we seen there? Moving on. What I really came to talk about is the Salisbury Town Center project. That's the 3 lots in back of the plaza that the city, I guess, is under contract to sell. I don't know whether that's settled or not, because the Board of Zoning Appeals, as you probably know, Board of Appeals it's called now, turned down their application for a special exception. So I don't know, is it in a hiatus or not? Maybe somebody can tell us. But there was an article in the Independent last week about this, and frankly, it really disturbed me to see so much misinformation published in a newspaper and other objections. I'm just reading, city officials also said they stand behind the plan for the Salisbury Town Center project. Now, this is written after the turn down by the board and after the election results. It also goes on to say the city of Salisbury is committed to the redevelopment of downtown Salisbury and will continue to explore all options to move development projects forward, City Administrator Andy Kitzrow said in an email. Now, where is Andy Kitzrow getting the authority to speak for the city? After the election, after the board turned down, somebody needs to answer that question. This is really BS. Moving on, it mentions other approvals that this project has gotten. Among them were final approvals from the Salisbury Planning Commission. That means the Salisbury Planning and Zoning Commission. I see Mr. DeShiel is here tonight. The hearing on July 20, unfortunately, I couldn't attend it. I was out of town, but I've listened to the audio of it and read the minutes. And the commission was essentially misled by a city official, Mr. Soper, and an attorney for the developer about the commission's ability and say on downtown parking. I mean, this goes from one absurdity to another. Reading further, the city's piece of Lot 1 will also contain a new parking garage that will be built by the developer and owned and operated by the city. Now, this suggests that the developer is going to pay for the parking garage. Ain't so, honey, ain't so. The city's going to pay for it. So, I mean, as I say, you can't believe what you read in the newspaper these days. I'd also turn to a letter, now this one's good, that was in the Independent last week. This is by Michael Weisner, as many should know, a Salisbury realtor for many years, speaking about the sale of the 2 lots just a stone's throw down this way.
Mr. Taylor, thank you so much.
Along the North Prom.
Mr. Taylor,
Say again?
thank you so much. Your time is up.
Okay.
Thank you. I
Well, read
appreciate
the
it.
letter.
Thank you.
It's worth reading. The guy knows what he's talking about.
Thank you. James Yamakawa.
James Yamakawa, Waikato Truth and Reconciliation Initiative. We are here for the special work session after this, so I'll try not to take too long so we can get to that. This is about the ordinance concerning the Lot 10 redevelopment and the grant. I'm under no illusion that this is not going to not happen. I mean, this is going to happen. This is already obviously, like, described into the plan of how things are going. I just came to bring up a subject that should be part of the discussion, or at least part of people's general knowledge of it. There used to be a neighborhood, it's a group of neighborhoods actually, collectively known as Georgetown. It was a primarily black neighborhood. It had businesses, homes, churches, actually had, at one point, the first fully owned black bank on the Eastern Shore. And In the 1930s, starting after the lynching of Matthew Williams, it was systematically dismantled. And currently, right now, majority of this is under Lot 10 and Route 13 and Route 50, which get erased. So it's a question of, yes, is development good? Sure. But what about the communities that are constantly disinvesting? And should not the communities that suffered from this systemic racism not also benefited from the money coming into this new development? Thank you.
Thank you. And Lynn Bratton.
I don't usually speak. Lynn Bratton, 303 South Boulevard, Salisbury City, resident for many years, concerned taxpayer, property owner, concerned about taxes, water bills, the use of free money that comes from our taxes and just gets given back to us with strings attached. The cost of those free monies that also come with other costs of our own city residents, city employees having to do things that are ancillary to grant monies. For instance, things like our roads of the bumbles and the humps and the things that were pulled up on Waverly and then put back down much nicer. But I'm here tonight because something happened a few minutes ago that has me very concerned. And in city rules and regulations of how city meetings are supposed to be operated, it's been discovered that there's a section 6 called public input. And this actually was done a number of years ago and has a signature of Jake Day on it. And item F under section 6, I'll read it to you. It was underlined as an addition when they redid this ordinance or this resolution, I think. Not sure which is which, but I think it's a resolution. The council president shall accept public comments from citizens during council consideration of an item, in addition to a general public comments period. And then it talks about the 3-minute, 4-minute timeline. I think under tonight's situations, there was an absolute prime example of where prior to the vote, in other words, I took parliamentary law in college, got an A in it. It was 2 credit course at College Park, and I did it because I was going to be the president of a really powerful organization during my tenure there as an undergraduate. Little gal from Princess Anne became the president of one of the largest female sorority groups representing all the sororities on campus while I was there. And I felt it prudent that I know the rules of parliamentary law. And one of them is when you put a motion on the floor, it gets its second, it gets read, it gets entered into the area, and then there is a period of discussion. Sadly, unfortunately, from the meetings I've attended recently, it just gets read, gets done, second, vote. The opportunity for anyone to bring up a discussion item, especially a member of the city council, should be allowed. And according to this, item 6, section F, even people from the public should be allowed their 3 minutes, God forbid we go 3.5, our 3 minutes to state what's on our mind, because we are the people that elected this council and mayor. We are the people that live here. We are the people who perhaps even deserved a ribbon cutting at some of the houses that I've redeveloped over the years and spent many, many dollars on. Sadly, all I ever seemed to get was if I didn't get the trash picked up and taken to the dump in time, I'd get a little note that says, oh, by the way, clean up the front yard. But never a thank you for bringing items off of the derelict list with the City of Housing, or bringing them back into fruition as strong, able places for people to live and raise their families, and then contribute to the taxes by paying their rent. So they do pay taxes. It's just it's a pass-through. So they have a voice too. So go back and look this up. Maybe this was never put into complete, proper form, but I am bringing an awareness to you that there are a lot of us who are starting to dig into the weeds. and we're trying to figure out who's saying what and what it needs to mean and how people answer to what they're saying. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Bratton.
My time is up.
This concludes the public comment section of the agenda. Now I have administration and council comments. City Administrator Andy Kitzrow?
Yeah, sure. Just two things real quick. Thank you, council, for moving forward with the 2 second readings today. And then just welcome aboard Mayor Taylor. Looking forward to this, and congratulations on your first proclamation.
Mayor Taylor?
Yeah, I just want to say that, you know, to Tim's point, to Jeff's point, to Carol's point, I think, I can't remember your name from Roger Street. What's your? Sophia. I should remember. That's a good one. That's a good name. You know, I think part of the frustration, and why I'm sitting here, and why I had a tag that says progress with transparency, was people are feeling like choked off from information, which we're going to change. We're going to work as a group, and we're going to change that. Starting at the work session level, it's going to be very visual, it's going to be very open book, it's going to be very conversational, and very inclusive. So we don't get this bottleneck of feeling that we're having. And I think that's been, I know I felt it, and that's why I ran, and that's why we're here. And so we're going to make a formal commitment, I think we are collectively, to do that. I want to speak to this issue of this infrastructure money, just because as I understand it, and I want to dig into it more. I've been on the job 72 hours, so bear with me as I read through this stuff. This $4 million wouldn't exist unless this project exists. It was money that was supposed to be earmarked for Frederick. Now, I could be wrong. Well, you can shake your head if you want. I'm just saying, I could be wrong, but what I'm understanding it to be, and I'm hearing this from three different sources. So let me do my due diligence, but 3 different sources. But this $4 million is specific to this conference center, okay? Unless you can provide documentation otherwise. And the reason why we're putting it in there as an earmark is because we're saying, under the condition of the grant, we're saying, if this project doesn't occur, then we're not going to use the money. We can't use it for general stuff. So while I hear your point on the pipes, and certainly we're going to have that conversation, this money is specific to this project. Like I said, there was one similar, correct me if I'm wrong, when in Frederick, that was supposed to happen. It didn't happen for whatever reason. And as it relates to the study, I mean, developers are going to have hard money in this project. Now, I'm not saying that the study makes sense or doesn't make sense. What I'm saying is, you know, you can have a puff piece for your study, but if you're going to be the developer, I would say that you probably want to do your due diligence and invest in something that's going to work. So you're not going to puff yourself. You're going to invest in something that makes some sense. So as a wrap up, I'm just going to say is that I like to think that as a group and as the president of the council in general and the council generally, we're going to do a much, much, much better job of presentation and information, and make this system work a little more openly for people that are frustrated. So that's all I wanted to say tonight. So,
thank you. Councilwoman Michelle Gregory?
Just want to say, hope everybody had a happy and safe Thanksgiving. Going forward into the holiday season, I'm looking forward to the tree lighting this weekend. And also, I spent Saturday downtown supporting small businesses. I encourage everybody here to go shop small. What was it? Shop small with a big bag was the hashtag, right? So, you know, I really hope that folks, not just the downtown businesses, but any small businesses, make sure that you're supporting them in the holiday season, because those local dollars will stay here and be circulated back into our economy rather than shipping them off into a billionaire's pocket. So please, please, please make sure you're supporting local. I managed to pick up some really cool stuff, and I'm looking forward to doing that a little bit more during the holiday season. Other than that, I hope everybody has a great week.
Thank you. Councilwoman April Jackson?
I want to speak to the matter of, it's the holiday season. breaking into vehicles, breaking into homes, robbery. Please be cautious. Please make sure your vehicles are locked. Make sure when you're shopping and it's in the evening that you're not by yourself and you're in a well-lit place where you can be seen. And I just heard about Pocomoke and their car breaking in. I mean, and it's happening, and you know it's going to happen. It's that Christmas season where people just are gouging for money and doing whatever, and they know you're shopping, and they know you have money, or credit cards or whatever, and you have probably expensive gifts. So all I'm asking you to do is just be cautious, be aware of your surroundings, be safe. Be safe, be very safe, because it's happening. It's really happening, and what are we gonna do but call the police and just hope that no one is injured during the robberies or the break-ins? So I'm just asking you to all be safe, and I know the holiday is here, so happy holidays to everyone. Celebrate, but also be safe in celebrations. Don't overdrink. I would say do not drink and drive. But if you are, please have a designated driver with you. Please have a designated driver with you. So those are the things that I'm going to say, and I thank everyone for coming to the meeting, speaking out, because this is what we need. We do need it. We do need to hear from our constituents. We need to hear. I don't care whether we like it or not. We do need to hear it. But I'm to the point now where I just want peace. And I want to do what's right by our people, by the people who represent us, and the people who put us back into these seats. We have to be fair, and we have to be transparent. And that's all we're asking, and that's all they're asking, transparency. So thank you.
Thank you. Council Vice President Angela?
Thank you very much. I mean, ditto on what everyone says, you know, especially that shop small. I mean, I bought tons of gift cards and stuff for all these local businesses. And it is the holiday season, and as first responders, you know, there's a lot of additional car accidents or house fires or heart attacks and things of this nature. Just if you are healthy enough, please donate blood. Also consider being an organ donor, and plasma. Plasma is also needed. The Eastern Shore is chronically, critically low. Critically low. And so I ditto to everybody else, but that's my main message as always.
First, thank you all for coming out and for, of course, your public comment. I appreciate it. We appreciate it on behalf of council. And Mayor Taylor's sentiments that we want to make sure that we are doing the right thing and that we're continuing to have you all's input and things moving forward and conducting our meetings and making sure that you all feel valued in that. So continue to let us know your concerns. Continue to you know, hold us accountable. Thank you. We need that and we appreciate that. I want to also echo my comments from earlier from this when I asked for the moment of silence for our municipal colleague from Greenbelt, Council President Rick Gordon, who suddenly passed away, and it really hit me hard. Just a moment of reflection that life is definitely short. And man, I think it was barely 40 years old. So while we all have our concerns and things that are near and dear to us, especially in this holiday season, make sure you are being kind. Make sure your brother and your sister, your neighbors, you are being that person. And at the end of the day, we are all human. So let's make sure we keep that forefront. And I'm excited to enter the holiday season. I think this weekend is, this Sunday is the Christmas parade and the holiday parade downtown from the GC. So I'm excited for that. I think that kickstarts in a lot of events. And I saw this weekend, and a lot of people on Facebook were donating meals and giving back. So that makes my heart warm when people are being neighborly. So that's what it's all about, is make sure we make sure that our brothers and sisters and our neighbors are well kept. So, and with that, our legislative session is adjourned at this time.